I've been married for 3 years to my 30-year-old husband, Adam. Like any marriage, we had experienced ups and downs, but I assumed we were pretty stable, so I was totally unprepared for what happened. I later found out that my aunt was actually having an affair with my husband behind my back, and her demand that I divorce him so her daughter could have him made me appear horrible in front of my family. When I was a kid, Mother was this overbearing presence who was always telling me how much she had done for me. I'm now questioning whether I had any role in creating this catastrophe. Natalie, my aunt, has always been, to put it mildly, peculiar. She used to be the kind of person who would do you a favor and then haunt you for the rest of your life. Despite her notorious manipulativeness in the family, I never thought I would fall for her tricks, especially this year. I was going through a particularly tough financial time when I was younger, around the age of 18. I had recently moved, and my parents weren't there. She uses everyone and how they owe her as a means of maintaining power. I was trying to figure things out, working part-time jobs, and struggling to make ends meet. At the moment, I sincerely appreciated Natalie's assistance. Although it wasn't much, she offered me enough cash to cover my expenses for a few months while I recovered. After giving her a lot of thanks and finally repaying her in full, I assumed that was the end of it. Of anything, and she seemed to have never mentioned it or implied that I owed her anything for years, so I assumed it was all behind us. In the present day, Natalie has a daughter whom we shall call Grace. Grace and I were never close as children. Although she is a few years younger than I am, we have always belonged to separate social groups. We have never really liked each other, but she has always been the spoiled, entitled sort who gets all she wants, because Natalie always puts her first at events, family get-togethers, and holidays. Grace gets the most accolades, the greatest gifts, and everything else. It's just the way Natalie operates, so I've learned to overlook it over the years. Grace's birthday is coming up, and Natalie has been hinting to me for weeks that she wants to make this birthday extra special, and that she wants to give her daughter everything. I didn't think much about it at first since, really, Grace's birthday is approaching, and the rest of us should be grateful just to be around them. It is not something I'm very aware of. I was polite enough to say, "Oh, that sounds great," or something like that when Natalie brought it up, but I wasn't really paying attention. After that, one evening, Natalie called and said she needed to discuss something important with me. I agreed to meet with her, assuming it was for a family gathering or Grace's birthday. I was shocked to hear her say, "The only thing Grace really wants for her birthday is for me to leave my husband, Adam." I couldn't understand why she would even think of that. I didn't know that Grace had been crushing on Adam for years, but Natalie went on to say that she is positive he is her soulmate. Since they first met, Natalie Grace claims she has been longing for him, and as she gets closer to turning 26, she feels like this is her last opportunity to spend time with him. She truly believes that Adam should be with her, and that I am keeping them from being content. Initially, I thought this was a joke because Natalie couldn't have expected me to leave my husband as a birthday gift for her daughter. But as she went on, I realized she was being really serious. In fact, she started talking about the money she had given me years earlier, saying that I owed her and that this was the best way to repay her. Natalie says I would do this one thing for her daughter if I truly appreciated her assisting me when I needed it. I was so surprised by what I heard that I couldn't believe it. Naturally, I informed Natalie that this was absurd, that I would never abandon Adam, that I owed her nothing because I had reimbursed her for the money, and that whatever it was she thought she had done for me, she had no right to expect this. It didn't sit well with her. Infuriated, Natalie accused me of being ungrateful and self-centered. She kept saying that Grace should be happy since she had given up so much for me over the years, and that I was spoiling everything by not seeing the obvious. Even though I was worn out from that conversation, I was confident that I had made the right decision, and that I would not let her rule me. However, things began to shift between Adam and me a few days later. I asked him what was wrong, but he dismissed me, and he became more aloof and chilly than normal. I assumed he was stressed out at work or something, but he sat me down and announced his intention to leave. He simply stated that he thought it was time for us to part ways, because things weren't going well. He didn't go into further detail. I was saddened because this happened so abruptly, and it wasn't until a mutual acquaintance contacted me that I realized what had changed. Natalie reportedly told Adam everything following our conversation, but she clearly misrepresented the facts. I've heard that she manipulated the situation to make it appear like I was the problem in our marriage by accusing Adam of being unappreciative of all that she had done for me. of not caring about family, and of keeping secrets from him. She even concocted tales about my coldness and distance from Adam. He was persuaded enough that I was lying to him to lose it. My spouse left me because I was manipulative, and I'm currently attempting to rebuild my life. I wonder if there was previously an issue in our marriage, and this was the last straw. Maybe I was not as excellent a wife as I thought I was, and I missed some hints. But Natalie's treatment of me also makes me upset. Because I refused to comply with her requests, how could she have secretly destroyed my marriage? What made Adam so easily believe her? Before making a decision this important, shouldn't he have trusted me enough to at least talk to me about it? I'm not sure what to do at the moment because I'm feeling so upset and confused. There is disagreement among family members. Some believe Natalie is acting inappropriately, while others believe I should have let it go. But I don't think this is just about Natalie anymore. I think there's a larger issue here, such as Adam's attempt to escape, and this is just the excuse he needed. I don't know if I'm overreacting, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm partly to blame for this whole thing. Maybe if I had handled Natalie differently and given Adam more consideration, none of this would have happened. But I also feel like I was put in a tough spot and would have lost no matter what I did. Ida, for refusing my aunt's ridiculous request that I leave my husband as a birthday gift for her daughter. I am Update 1. Hello, everyone. 2 weeks have passed since my life basically fell apart, and I'm still attempting to come to terms with what transpired between my husband and my Aunt Natalie. She told him, and I resented him for leaving me. Everything seems to be getting out of control right now, and I'm not sure where to turn, so I just need some feedback. I never imagined posting an update, but here I am, attempting to make sense of the really difficult-to-process situation with my husband, Adam. At first, I thought it was all Natalie's fault, but now that everything has happened, I'm starting to wonder if Adam and I were having more conversations, something I missed. I keep wondering if this was already broken and I just missed it, but I managed to put it all together. Adam didn't give me much information when he told me he was going. He just mentioned that he thought it was time for us to split ways because things weren't going well. There was just an over, no major argument or blow-up, and I was left feeling confused and heartbroken. I believe that we were solid, or at least as stable as any marriage that experiences ups and downs. Everything seemed to happen at once. Not wanting to give up without at least discussing it, I thought about it for a few days before deciding to get in touch with Adam. Adam didn't respond right away when I texted him to ask if we could get together and talk about what had happened, so I spent the next few days waiting for him to text me back to let me know that he had decided he didn't want to talk. Even worse, he told me that he was already dating someone else, which crushed me since it looked like he had thrown everything away without thinking about it. Remember, it had only been a month since they had spoken. To be honest, I didn't want to hear the answers, so I didn't ask him any of these questions. It seemed like everything we had was taken away in an instant. My world fell apart when I found out that he had moved on so fast. Was I too blind to notice him drifting away sooner, or was this someone he had been dating before our breakup? Confusion, rage, and betrayal. Things are beginning to make sense now. How could he have let it go so easily? What made him so ready to give up everything we've worked so hard to build? I can't help but wonder if this new relationship began before he left, or if I just decided to ignore problems in our marriage. I've been going over all of our conversations over the last few months to see if I missed any warning flags, but nothing stands out. We had our usual disagreements, nothing significant, and I never thought things would go so wrong so quickly. Maybe I was too focused on my own life to see the signals that he was backing off, but I also wonder if Adam had been looking for a way out all along. My family is divided on the issue. Some believe that I should have moved on and avoided the confrontation with Natalie, while others concur that she was completely inappropriate and that I was correct to decline her. All this doesn't matter in the end, though, because Adam is gone, the harm is done, and I have to figure out how to start over. Now that he's moved on with someone else, I'm relieved that their toxic energy is out of my life, and I haven't spoken to Natalie or Grace since everything happened. It still amazes me that Natalie could surreptitiously control Adam and effectively ruin our marriage. But I've decided there's no point in lying, and I'll be absolutely honest. I think Adam is seeing Grace. Natalie wanted me to dissolve my marriage so that Grace and Adam could be together, so maybe that's what's happening. This would only make sense. This is what I want to find. I know our marriage is gone and he has moved on, but I still adore him, and probably always will. Though there will be days when the anguish is intolerable, I hope that eventually I will be able to move on from this. Update 2. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone for their encouragement, counsel, and kind words. Before I start the update, I want to address something that many of you brought up. A lot of people thought Adam was seeing Grace, and to be honest, I was starting to think the same thing. If Adam and Grace weren't already in a romantic relationship, I couldn't believe my aunt would urge me to leave my husband as a birthday present for her daughter. Natalie had pressured me to leave Adam for Grace's sake. At that point, the situation took an unexpected and incredibly unpleasant turn. I was first apprehensive since I didn't want to become embroiled in any more family conflict, particularly in light of what had transpired with Natalie and Grace, but I decided to accept the message about 2 weeks ago. Given how crazy things had already gotten, however, Stephen, the husband of my Aunt Natalie and the father of Grace, pleaded with me to meet face to face because he had something crucial to share. Considering how long it had been since things had gone bad, I hadn't spoken to him. Stephen's tone prompted me to want to listen to him, so I made the decision to meet up. Stephen looked exhausted when we first met, as if the entire world were on his shoulders, and I could sense that anything he had to say would not be straightforward. Before dropping a bombshell that I couldn't comprehend, he began by expressing regret for Natalie Grace and everything that had transpired. I had no idea where he was heading with this. I attempted to understand what he was saying, but I was in complete shock, and my mind went blank. For a brief time, I believed I might have misheard him. But Stephen went on to describe everything in terrifying detail, revealing that Adam was actually seeing my aunt, my 50-year-old poisonous and manipulative Aunt Natalie. My aunt, my husband Adam, and Natalie were all in bed together when Stephen came home early one weekend from a business trip and went into their bedroom. Given some of the texts and messages he had received, Stephen determined that it had been at least a few months, if not longer, since Natalie had been, although he said he had no clue how long it had been going on. It seemed as if the earth had been ripped from beneath me. Despite my belief that I was prepared for anything, this exceeded my expectations. While she was trying to get me to leave Adam for Grace, she had been seeing him behind my back. She used the whole birthday present charade as a distraction and a means of controlling me and everyone else while she carried on her covert affair with my husband. It was difficult for me to understand what Stay Saint was saying, but I never thought Natalie, of all the people I knew, would do this. My aunt had been skulking around with Adam, the man I thought I knew and had made a life with all along, but Stephen went on to inform me that Natalie had decided to break up with him. Natalie was reportedly preparing to leave Stephen on Grace's birthday, and she and Adam were plotting to blow everything up. You read correctly. On her daughter's birthday, she intended to ruin her own family to escape with my husband. The fact that Grace was totally ignorant of this was just another instance of Natalie's manipulation of her daughter. I was left speechless and unsure of how to react when Stephen told me this. While I had been focusing all of my efforts on determining whether Adam was seeing Grace, my own aunt, Natalie, had actually cheated on me in the most heinous manner imaginable. When he was done telling me everything, Stephen gave me his phone and showed me some of the texts he had discovered between Adam and Natalie. They were so spiteful, talking about how they would start over after the dust settled, and it made me physically sick to look at them for very long. Adam's feelings for Grace still seem unbelievable to me, but this was more than I could have ever dreamed. This was all arranged by Natalie from the start. She secretly had an affair with my husband while manipulating both me and her own husband. Though I'm still in shock, I've been attempting to choose my next course of action. I'm struggling to understand that my spouse left me for my aunt, whom I thought was family, instead of staying with me, as I had assumed. I don't know whether they are still dating, or if their little plan fell through after Stephen found them, but I don't care right now since what's done is done, and I've already suffered the consequences regardless of what happens with them. A few things have happened since the last update, so hopefully this is the final one. I wish I could say that there is a silver lining, but for now, hello, everyone. After all that has happened, I'm just trying to find out how to move on. I'll keep you all updated if anything changes, but for now, I'm just trying to survive this. Once again, thank you for your support. It has been invaluable during this terrifying third update. Although I believe I always knew that I would ultimately have to confront Adam head-on, I did not expect it to be so dramatic or that, upon understanding Natalie was not who he believed her to be, he would beg me to take him back. The nightmare I have been suffering is coming to an end with this update. The result of my confrontation with Adam was not what I had hoped for, but it did provide me with some closure. I can't really put into words how I felt before that, but I knew that I couldn't continue living my life without confronting Adam. At last, I called him and told him we needed to get together and chat because I had to tell him the truth and stop avoiding him or doubting myself. I felt I could control my emotions and steer clear of the conflict, so we did it at a neutral park. Should take place in the home where many memories, both positive and negative, were stored. It took me a long time to get to the point where I spotted him. He looked worn out, as though he hadn't slept for days, which made it awkward, but I wasn't interested enough to inquire as to what had happened or why. Rather, I told him that Natalie was the lady he had, and that I knew everything about her. When people are caught, his countenance displays more humiliation than alarm. He was sneaking about while I was sitting at home, adoring and trusting him. I was shocked that he did not defend himself since I was expecting an explanation or an attempt to conceal something. But instead, he nodded softly and recognized it, which, in a way, confirmed everything. He was unable to look me in the eyes for a while. When the moment arrived, all I could say was that I needed to know what was wrong with me or with us for him to cheat on me in this way. There was only this pathetic acknowledgement that he had destroyed our marriage by having an affair, without any loud yelling or outbursts. I had spent hours rehearsing this in my mind, and I had a lot to say. He said he was just stuck and that Natalie gave him a sense of life again. It was shocking to learn that he was using that as a justification, as though his boredom warranted destroying our lives. Disgusted, I stood there and immediately told him that his selfishness had cost him everything. Our marriage had become regular, he added, and he was no longer joyful. For the first time, I experienced a peculiar sense of power when I told him I was divorcing him, and I did so clearly and without hesitation. He had a lot of better options for dealing with his feelings of helplessness, such as talking to me, taking a break, and going to therapy. But instead, he cheated on me, lied to me, and destroyed our marriage. Adam immediately started crying because he had been so nonchalant about the affair until that point. I had never seen him like this before. He truly broke down in tears. I'm not referring to a few, grasped my hands and begged me not to go through with the divorce. I was not pleading with him to stay, nor was I pardoning him for his terrible decisions. After the initial excitement of their affair wore off, he admitted, Natalie's actual personality came to light. She is controlling and manipulative, always provoking conflicts, and even threatened to expose their affair if he did not take action. She was not who he believed her to be, he said, and everything with her had broken apart. This man had previously appeared to be unaffected by anything, so it was odd to see him cry in front of me. He told me that without me, he felt lost and that he couldn't comprehend why he had sacrificed our shared existence for someone like Natalie. I regret everything, he said, because she had made my life a living hell. He said he would do anything to make things right, and that he still loved me. Actually, I felt nothing at all. I felt numb as a result of what Natal had done, and I didn't want to take him back or feel sorry for him. There were no tears or excuses that could make up for the betrayal of my confidence. I informed him that it was too late, that I had no intention of trying to undo what he had done, and that there was no way to do so. He kept trying to convince me that we could work things out, and that he was willing to go to any lengths to repair the harm to our marriage, but I had already decided that I was worthy of more than forgiveness. I think he understood then that I was serious, and that there was no possibility of us reconciling or going back together, that we had lost all hope, and that I should get on with my life. I think a part of me was waiting for him to get defensive or snap, like he had done during a previous argument, but instead, he just broke down even more when he realized he had lost me for good. I didn't look back after that, and I've already filed for divorce. I'm not claiming it has been simple. There are still times when I feel so deceived and heartbroken that I can't breathe. But I know I made the right decision, and that this is what I must do in order to better myself and begin a new life. I've heard that Natalie is angry with Adam for trying to win me back. Adam is suffering the price for his choices, and while I would never want such chaos to happen to anyone, I'm just relieved to be out of it, regardless of what happens between them. There is no possibility of reconciliation or forgiveness because I have permanently removed Natalie from my life. It seems that their relationship rapidly soured after the truth was out, and they are currently both unhappy. Reconciliation. She's gone, and I'm focusing on myself now because I don't have space in my heart for people who lie to me like that. Although this whole experience has been the most challenging thing I have ever faced, I've gained a lot of self awareness and realized that I deserve a partner who respects me and does not require someone who mistreats me, deceives me, or cheats on me. I will take things one step at a time and move on with my life, even if it will take time to recuperate. In our relationship, I will never again accept anything less than that. However, thank you. I am certain that I am on the right track. It meant more to me than you can imagine that I'm now ready. So thank you to everyone who helped and advised me along the way. We have to get past this chaos and move on with my life.